2 weeks ago, they assassinated Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. They thought they were killing a movement. Instead, they sparked a global revolution. From London streets packed with 100,000 protesters chanting, "We are Charlie Kirk," to South Korea, where youths were marching in the streets for faith and freedom. Something extraordinary is happening here. The generation they said was lost to wokeness, they're rejecting everything. This is faith, freedom, and tech. I'm Scott Houghton, and today we need to talk about what's really happening out there. Welcome back to Faith, Freedom, and Tech, where code meets conviction. Now, let me be straight with you. This isn't like our usual Tuesday formats. If you came here for today's technical deep dive, our regular episode, DevSecOps and Discipline, it's already live. Go check that out for all your DevSecOps and cloud architecture content that we hope you'll come to expect. But sometimes shit happens that demands we speak up. And what's unfolding globally right now, 2 weeks after Charlie Kirk's assassination, it's too significant to ignore. I've spent 20 years in tech, self taught since I was 11, hacking schools' networks, allegedly, and getting sent to military high school. That was a joy. Later on, I joined the Navy and I served on the USS Ashland. I've built enterprise systems for many companies you'd recognize, and through it all, for the most part, I've kept my mouth shut about my faith and my values. Why? Same reason most of us do. Career, contracts, not wanting to be that guy. But watching Charlie stand for truth until they literally killed him for it. Man, what's my excuse? JD Vance said it best at the Arizona Memorial. And I'll get to that speech because it changed everything for me. But first, let me show you what's actually happening while the mainstream media pretends it isn't. Let's talk about data because, unlike the mainstream narrative, facts actually matter here. And I've got the receipts. According to reports from conservative sources and on the ground accounts in the 14 days since September 10th, Turning Point USA has received somewhere between 32,000 and 54,000 new chapter inquiries, with some reports I've seen even higher. Let's be conservative and say 40,000, just for shits and giggles here. That's 40,000 young people saying, "Sign me up," who an organization the left calls extremist. But here's the really interesting part. Multiple polls are showing Gen Z men ages 18 to 29 shifting massively right. Some reports claim plus 44 points Republican. Even if that's inflated, even if it's half that, we're talking about generational realignment. Church attendance among young people. Reports from across the country shows significant surges since the assassination. Some churches reporting 20 to 30% increases in youth attendance. Dating apps are seeing women prioritize values based matching. Bumble's latest data shows over half of the women now using social filtering through male friends to vet potential dates. Then there's corporate America learning what go woke, go broke really means. Cracker Barrel. And look, this is just one piece of a bigger picture, but it's instructive. They went all in on modernization, changed their logo, pushed DEI initiatives, forgot who their actual customers were. Result, stock price catering reportedly down over 40% year to date. Market cap hit around 700 million. Their CEO literally admitted on September 18th, we made mistakes. We forgot who our customers are. And yeah, anyone who's seen it, anyone who's lived in the South long enough, those people had never been to the South or respect Southern values when they did this. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get back to the actual facts. But it's not just that. Bud Light sales are still down 30% from the Dylan disaster. Target's struggling. Disney's hemorrhaging subscribers. The pattern's clear. Abandon your base for virtue signaling, and your base abandons you. The global awakening. But here's what they really don't want you to see. This isn't just America. September 13th and 14th, London, the Unite the Kingdom protest that the BBC refuses to cover, besides some spots here and there. Tommy Robinson organized it, and based on videos from X and firsthand accounts, we're talking 1,000 people. I Some claims go higher, but let's stick with what we can verify. They marched starting at Montgomery's statue, ended at Churchill's, and they were chanting, "We are Charlie Kirk." That's British citizens in London chanting an American's name. They sang Amazing Grace. They waved British flags alongside American and Israeli ones. And when police allegedly tried to direct counter protesters into the crowd to start violence, the protesters linked arms and kept singing. Joseph Robinson spoke at a related vigil, calling Kirk's death, quote, a turning point for the entire West. He said they killed Charlie because he was teaching young people to think for themselves. South Korea, September 13th. Thousands of young Koreans marched in Seoul. Park, a young youth leader there, delivered a tribute about faith, family, and freedom. They're openly rejecting communism and embracing conservative values. In South Korea, we're seeing similar movements in Italy, Hungary, Poland. Youth singing tributes in Italy, Hungarians lighting candles at the US Embassy, the Polish parliament observing a minute of silence for Kirk. Even Elon Musk weighed in on X, calling out the radical left for celebrating Kirk's murder and absolutely torching legacy media for their coverage. This isn't isolated. This is coordinated. This is global. This is Gen Z worldwide saying enough. Now, I need to talk about something personal. JD Vance's speech in Arizona on September 21st. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Pause this right now and go watch it. Seriously. Vance stood in front of 100,000 people with reports for 100 million watching online. And he said something that hit me like a punch to the gut. He talked about hiding his faith, dodging questions about abortion, traditional marriage, God. And he said, I'm quoting here, it is better to face a gunman than to live your life afraid to speak the truth. It is better to be persecuted for your faith than to deny the kingship of Christ. That is the vice president of the United States openly talking about his faith. That is a fellow millennial openly talking about his faith on national television. That's impact. That's Charlie Kirk effect. But then he added, for Charlie, we will never shrink. We will never cower. And we will never falter, even when staring down the barrel of a gun. That's when it really clicked for me. Here I am, 20 years in tech, multi-cloud architect, DevSecOps expert, and I've been hiding like a coward. I've been sitting through meetings where they mocked Christians. I've endured DEI training that basically called my values hate speech. I've watched colleagues get blacklisted for posting Bible verses. And I kept quiet to protect my contracts, to protect my reputation. Vance said, what a pathetic way to live. Look, I'm not claiming to be some perfect Christian. I drink beer. I swear, obviously. Maybe habits die hard. I've made more mistakes than I can count, but I'm done pretending that believing in God, supporting traditional families, and thinking biology reality exists. That doesn't make me a bad guy. It doesn't. It makes me normal. And Charlie Kirk's death reminded millions of us that we're not alone. We're the majority who forgot to speak up. So, what exactly is the Charlie Kirk effect? It's not just political, it's deeper than that. It's a generation realizing they were sold lies. They told Gen Z that traditional values were oppressive. Then they lived the alternative: broken families, porn addiction, meaningless hookup culture, gender confusion, skyrocketing depression, and anxiety rates. They said capitalism was evil. Then they graduated with six-figure debt and worthless degrees. They said America was systematically racist. Then they watched cities burn while the media called it mostly peaceful protests. They said Christians were dangerous extremists. Then they saw who actually helps communities, protects children, and offers hope instead of perpetual victimhood. Charlie Kirk didn't create this awakening. He just gave it a voice. And when they killed him for using that voice, they validated everything he'd been saying. The real Charlie Kirk effect is visible everywhere. It's British kids rejecting the narrative that their heritage is shameful. It's Korean students choosing church over the emptiness of consumer culture. It's tech workers finally standing up in meetings when woke bullshit starts. It's me recording this podcast instead of hiding behind code reviews. It's millions of people simultaneously saying, I'm done pretending this is normal. So, what do we actually do in this moment? First, speak truth. They killed Charlie, but they can't kill all of us. Every time you question nonsense at work, every time you share your actual values, every time you refuse to deny reality, you're continuing his legacy. Second, build alternatives. Woke corporations are failing. Good. Build better ones. I'm doing it with my consultancy. No DEI theater, just technical excellence and merit based advancement. You can do it in your field. Third, protect the next generation. The schools are ideological training camps, let's be honest. So then homeschool, private schools, pod schools, form parent groups, show up at school board meetings, be ungovernable. Fourth, get involved locally, run for school board, city council, make noise. They want you demoralized and silent. Don't give them that satisfaction. Finally, and this is crucial, recognize this is spiritual warfare. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. It's spiritual. You can't fight spiritual battles with just political weapons. I'm not saying be perfect. God knows I'm not. But pick a side, because neutrality is complacency at this point. It's your choice. They thought killing Charlie would be the end of a movement. Instead, they lit the fuse. From London streets to Seoul protests, from corporate boardrooms watching their woke strategies implode, to young people flooding back to church. The Charlie Kirk effect is undeniable. The question isn't whether this shift is real. The numbers prove it. The protests prove it. The corporate failures prove it. The question is, what are you going to do? Keep hiding? Keep your head down? Keep pretending the emperor has clothes? Or stand up and be counted? For me, the choice is made. This podcast is my line in the sand. I'm done hiding my faith in tech, done pretending conservative values are extreme, done watching my industry prioritize ideology over innovation. I'm standing with Charlie Kirk's legacy and the millions worldwide saying, enough. This is Scott Houghton, Faith, Freedom, and Tech. If this resonates with you, share it. Post on LinkedIn. I dare you. Send it to that colleague who agrees but won't say it out loud. Join our communities on social media, faithfreedomtech.com. Got all our links there. We're building something real here. Remember, they can kill a man, but they can't kill the truth. Charlie Kirk proved that. Now it's our turn to live it. Keep building, keep believing, keep pushing forward.